Hi, everybody. Bill Prince here, and I'd like to welcome you all to the Fall 2017 semester in general, and specifically to Management 424 Business Simulation Workshop. I just wanted to spend 10, 12 minutes or so with you, if I can be that brief, to kind of go over with you the course syllabus, the class expectations, and spend a little bit of time talking with you about Moodle, which is the new online learning system that Drury has in place for all classes this fall semester. It was sort of an optional use back in the spring semester and the summer semester. Some of you may have had classes where Moodle was used. For some of you, this may be the first time that you've had an opportunity to take a look at this online learning system. I don't think you're going to find a whole lot of problems in transferring from Blackboard to Moodle. In a lot of ways, I find it, frankly, a little more intuitive, a little more organized, a little more easy to get around. So I don't think you're going to have a lot of problems getting used to it, and you'll probably like it, I think, maybe better than Blackboard. Talk to some students, some really like it, some don't have an opinion one way or another, and some like Blackboard. But from my point of view, it's not bad at all, and I think really is a pretty well organized way to present online material. But if you have questions about uploading assignments, where to go, that kind of thing, obviously you can let me know, and I'll try to help you through it. There's a lot of good online tutorials that you can access. As you can see here, there's a Moodle tutorial. There's frequently asked questions. Online education is also available if you have questions that none of those options can solve. So again, I think you'll enjoy it. Don't think you'll have a lot of problems with it, but again, if you do, certainly let me know. As you can see, it's sort of laid out in I'll call them modules, and each week is a separate module where all of the material for that week is sort of clustered together in the one spot. So I think that's one of the improvements, at least in my mind, from Blackboard, where if you recall in Blackboard you kind of had to fly all over the place, to go to the assignments and to the discussion questions and to the quizzes, and everything was sort of located in a different place, and here everything is nicely put together. So that's Moodle, and again, I don't think you'll have any issues with it, but if you do, certainly don't hesitate to give me a yell. What I want to do is look at the course syllabus with you, and we're not going to read the entire thing. You can kind of look at it at your leisure, but the syllabus you can access right here under the syllabus and policy section. You might take a look at the fact sheet, which is put out by the university, that kind of sets forth dates for refunds and class drops and things of that nature. There's a general class policy sheet that applies to all Drury classes that you're in, and then of course specific to this class is the course syllabus. So let's click on that quickly, and there we go. A couple of things of note that I want to bring to your attention. Obviously, there we go. There I am. That is my contact information. You can contact me at wprince@drury.edu. That's my telephone number. If you can't access that, if I'm not available when you call, leave a message, and I will call you back. I'm usually pretty good about getting in touch with people soon after you contact. In no event should it be over 24 hours that you don't hear from me, because I check my messages frequently. I'm online frequently, and so there shouldn't be any big issues about that. But that's the best way to contact me. And there's my bio. You can have an opportunity to read that as you go through it. And let's talk about the class a little bit. This is sort of a unique class, and it's part of the senior year capstone experience. And essentially, the kind of the centerpiece of the class is you will be given a company that is worth $100 million. This company makes sensors, and your charge over the semester will be to manage this company and make all of the decisions in the different functional areas in terms of research and development and marketing and production and finance and that kind of thing. Really think of it as a game, because that's sort of what the simulation is. And over the course of the semester, you'll do 4 practice rounds, and then there will be 8 competition rounds. And hopefully, each and every week we're seeing the value of your company going up. We're seeing your sales going up. We're seeing your stock price go up. We're seeing your cumulative profits go up, and things of that nature. In connection with the simulation, there is an e-text, and you will be given assignments out of that e-text to read and respond to certain case studies and questions and things of that nature. No tests or quizzes, or really. There is sort of when I say no test, there's not like a final in the traditional sense. You will see that there is an exam called the CompXM exam, and also what's called the major field test in business, but no traditional read the books and study the material and take a test kind of thing. So let me talk to you a minute about the required texts in the class. We will be utilizing the simulation, and the simulation is put together by a company called CapSim, and CapSim is based out of Chicago, and this is the website. You'll access that at www.capsim.com, and there are a couple ways that you can purchase this simulation. One way is online. I will just tell you that it is less expensive if you buy the CapSim materials online, because again, obviously, if you go through the Drury bookstore, they have to stay in business, and so there's a markup, and it is a little more expensive. But I also understand that some folks, because of financial aid and vouchers and things of that nature, need to purchase the materials over at the bookstore or through the bookstore online. And if you do that, you need to notify the bookstore, get in touch with the bookstore as quickly as possible to tell them that you're going to do that, and they will get those materials ordered for you. Essentially what it is you'll get a card, and the card will have an access code on it, which will allow you to get into the simulation. So let me just sign on here real quick and just kind of show you what it's gonna look like. And when I say real quick, there we go. All right. And let's see. I think this is our class for the semester, so I'll just click on that. There we go. Essentially, you'll be working as individuals. In a seated environment, playing as teams sometimes is more desirable. But in the context of an online class and the asynchronous learning environment, it's a little difficult to do teamwork. So basically, you will have your own company, and you will be competing against 5 computer companies. Now, that doesn't mean that because you're human and the computers are computers that you're destined to quote unquote lose. It's just that the computers don't make any real crazy mistakes, and I've had plenty of students who have won their industries and beaten the computers. So that's very easy to do. So this is the site that you will go to and sign in on. And when you sign up for your sign up for the simulation, this is the industry ID that you'll want to enter. It's contained in the syllabus as well. So you will find that, and then once you get signed up, I will get you assigned to an industry, and away we go. And so that's the simulation part of it. Additionally, there is an exam called the CompXM exam, and this is a device used for assessment. One of the things we use Management 424 for here at Drury is the assessment piece. And one of the things that our accreditors want, and as you guys know, Drury is accredited both AA and single A, is kind of a closing the loop and an assurance of learning. And so what we like to do is measure what you all have learned over the course of your studies here at Drury, and CompXM is one of the ways that we measure that. Essentially what that is at the end of the semester, you will sign on to the CompXM exam. You will play 4 rounds of the simulation, kind of self-paced, at your own leisure, and then after each round you'll answer a series of questions, and again, that'll kind of show us how how much of the material that you've absorbed sort of in the course and over your general business studies as well. So you'll be asked to purchase the CompXM exam when you sign up, and then lastly we have what's called the Michael Pettis text. Michael Pettis is a professor at the University of Illinois. He has written an e-text that goes along with the simulation, and we'll kind of talk about some of the topics that the simulation explores, and you'll access that from the side menu right there, and you can download that, and again, it's a pretty decent book, and goes along well with the simulation. All of those things, the simulation, the e-text, and the CompXM exam, are going to cost you just a little under $100 altogether. So I guess in terms of textbooks and stuff, you've probably had more expensive classes, you may have had less expensive classes, but that's pretty much what you're going to be paying to either the bookstore or the CapSim company. So that's the kind of what the simulation is going to look like. Additionally, and as you recall, I indicated to you that one of the things that we're going to be doing in the classes is an assessment class, and one of the ways that we assess learning is the administration of an examination called the Major Field Test in Business, or the MFT. I like to, I guess, make the analogy of the MFT test to the bar exam that I had to take when I wanted to get my license to practice law. And what the MFT does, just like what the bar exam did, was sort of test you over kind of the accumulated knowledge that you have hopefully gleaned during your years of study here at Drury. And it's an online test. It's multiple choice. It's couple of hours in length. I think there's 120 questions, and it sort of runs the gamut from there's accounting questions, there's finance questions, there's economics questions, there's marketing questions, there's management questions, there's corporate social responsibilities questions, there are legal environment of business questions, just a little bit of everything on there. And again, before you start freaking out, because I know a lot of people say, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? Nobody has not graduated from Drury because they did not do well on this major field test. I will assign points to it. You will receive points for completing it, but there will be extra credit opportunities and things of that nature, so that even if you don't do well on it, it's not gonna send you into a spiral from which you can never recover. But what we do ask you is that you prepare for it, and during the course of the semester, I'll be sharing with you some materials, some PowerPoints that maybe can get some of your rememberative juices flowing, and saying, oh yeah, I remember that from accounting 4 years ago, or something like that. So again, it's a way that we try to measure what's sinking in and what's not sinking in. But we'll talk more about this as we go through. Now, in terms of how this is done, this is the first time that we have administered the major field test in a completely online environment. Historically, we've done it with day-seated classes and evening blended classes where the students are actually there in the breech school looking at us. We are going to make that option available to you. If you happen to be in town and want to come and to the breech building here in Springfield, and to the computer lab, and take the exam there. And as you can see, that date is November the 15th, 2017 at 5:30. So we'll have the computer lab available for you to come and do that. The alternative to that, if you're not in town or can't make it into town for whatever the reason, then we are going to go with a company called Proctor Proctor U, and Proctor U almost sounds like somebody's insulting you or something, but Proctor U is an online proctoring system where there's a cost associated with that, which I believe is probably $25, and that way you can take the major field test from the comfort of your own home, but under the auspices of Proctor U, and they have security and in terms of signing on, and they have an ability, I guess, to make sure that it's you who's taking the test and that sort of thing. So that will be an option as well. So you can either take it on campus on the 15th, or you can take it through Proctor U on the 13th, 14th, or 15th of November. Again, as we go into the semester, I'll be asking you to let me know sort of what your intentions will be in terms of whether you want to take it on campus or through the Proctor U system. So we'll talk more about that as we go on. And again, there will be a module that will contain PowerPoints and information that hopefully will help you sort of jog your memory about some of this material. But again, don't get totally freaked out about this at all, because that's not what it's designed to do. So in terms of sort of what you need to have for the class, again, it'll be purchasing the simulation, purchasing the CompEx-M exam, and purchasing the PETIS text. And then again, if you want to do Proctor U, you'll need to sign up through that, and I'll get you information about that as we get closer to the test date. And so those are sort of the things that you're going to need for the course. So now, having said all that, you're probably going, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? But again, this is a fun course. People, I think the first few weeks tend to get a little freaked out about it, but really what you're getting to do is you're getting to run a business. This may be the one time in your life that you have an opportunity to run $100 million company with really no ramifications or repercussions. In the real world, you'd get fired or have to file for bankruptcy and all that kind of stuff. But here, that's not the case. This is a learning experience, and I think most people, once they kind of catch on to how the simulation works, has a heck of a lot of fun with it, and people tend to get very competitive. So I do think that you're going to enjoy it. So let's talk a little bit about sort of what a week is going to look like in the class, and after we get past the first few weeks, everything will sort of come down to a pattern of familiar things that you will need to do. This first week, we're not going to really be involved in the simulation at all. So in week 1, I need you to review the syllabus, and there's a spot that you can respond and say, hey, I've reviewed the syllabus, and if you do that, you get 10 points. So who can argue with that? You'll need to sign up for the simulation either directly at capsim.com, and there's the link for that, or again, we'll get it ordered from the bookstore, and again, the sooner the better on that. And again, remember, you want the simulation, you want the e-text, and you want the CompEx-M exam. You'll need to watch the video introduction, which is this, and then indicate that you've done so in the given spot. And again, there's another 10 points for you. And then read the introduction to the PETIS text once you get that. Then in week 2, hopefully by then, most of you will have access to the simulation. Even if you don't at that point in time, not to worry, because we're not going to be making decisions that first week. But in the first in week 2, when you get onto the simulation, there's some assignments that you will need to do on the simulation page. There's a getting started assignment, which is sort of an overview of the simulation, and there's a small quiz associated with that you'll take once you've gotten past that. There's a solo rehearsal simulation where you're sort of allowed to get in there and start playing around with it to kind of see how decisions work and how you enter data and that sort of thing. And again, once you complete that, you'll come back to the Moodle page and say, hey, I completed that, and you'll get your points for that. There's a situation analysis, which is an exercise that kind of, again, explains to you a little bit how your decisions impact the business environment. And then hopefully you'll have the PETIS text by that time, and you'll do the week 2 assignment, which is you will see listed in the module. So if you don't have your book by that point in time, or if you haven't had simulation access by that point in time, don't worry about it. Again, I'm not going to be more concerned about late work at this point. So then when we get into round 3, this is where we'll sort of get into the pattern that you'll see the rest of the class. And that pattern specifically is each week you'll read a chapter in the Pettis text. You will upload decisions each week. Those decisions need to be uploaded by Sunday at 11 p.m. And then you'll submit your week 3 assignment. So each week you'll read a chapter, you'll upload your decisions, and then you will do the chapter assignment. Now, when we get to week 4, you'll notice that there's something new, a SWOT. So once you have uploaded your first round, and again you'll do that by Sunday at 11 o'clock. By 11:01 on Sunday, the round will process. You will be able to see your results at 11:01, how you did relative to the other industries in your or businesses in your industry. So you'll know right then and there how you did. Some people actually stay up and wait because they get excited about it. Some people look later in the week. But what I want you to do is after each of the rounds, and these will be due on Wednesday of each week, is complete a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities for improvement, and threats on that prior round. So, looking at, your prior round, what did you do well? What were the strengths of your company? What weaknesses did you have that week? Did you, end up with a bunch of debt? Did you end up with an emergency loan? What happened? What opportunities do you have for improvement, and what threats exist out there for your company? So each week after the round processes, you'll need to do a SWOT. Those SWOTs need to be about 4 paragraphs long. 1 paragraph addressing strengths, 1 paragraph addressing weaknesses, 1 paragraph addressing opportunities, and 1 paragraph addressing SWOT. Now, some of this is probably sounding kind of foreign, and you're going, I don't know what the heck he's talking about. Once you get in and start playing the simulation, some of this will make a little more sense than it probably is right now. But then pretty much after that, each week will progress the same with a chapter reading, a SWOT upload, upload your decisions for that round, and then turn in the assignments. And so we'll go that way through. And again, we play 4 practice rounds and 8 competition rounds. After the practice rounds, the simulation will reset back to 0, and then you'll start over again with 8 competition rounds. And then that'll just kind of chug along until we hit the major field test, which will be on that week of the 13th, 14th, and 15th. Excuse me. And then we'll continue on again, and then the CompXM exam will take place on the week 15. You'll have the entire week to do that, and actually into the next week as well. The exam you can start and stop at will, and basically I've given you from that Wednesday of week 15 through Friday of week 16 to get that accomplished. And then the last thing that you'll need to do is as a report to shareholders, and essentially this is kind of a summation of how your company did during its 8 practice rounds. There is a template for that report which I have posted, and you simply need to fill that out. You don't need to create a whole new, recreate the wheel on that. There's a template that all you need to do is find the data and fill it out and submit that to me. So basically, as you can see, in terms of what points are going to be worth, the weekly assignments will be worth 30 points a week for a total of 420 points. The SWOTs will be worth 30 points weekly for 360 points. The final report to the shareholders is worth 90 points. The getting started assignments, the situation analysis, and that type of thing will be worth 30 points. And then the major field test and the CompXM each worth 50 points. So there will be opportunities again for extra credit. Obviously you're starting out with those 2. If you review the syllabus and watch this video and tell me that you've done that, you're 20 points ahead. right there. So again, don't get too freaked out about that major field test and the CompXM. But again, you can sort of review. I've kind of described the assignments here, and you can review those at your own leisure. I view the simulation as a journey. It's the journey that's more important than the destination. A lot of people get hung up on, I want to make sure that I make more money than anybody else, or that my profits are higher than anybody else, or that my market cap is higher than anybody else, or my stock price is higher than anybody else. And those are certainly good goals, but and if you kick the butts of the other teams in your simulation, then more power to you. But again, I oftentimes think that you can learn as much through adversity as you can through success. And so again, don't get just totally freaked out if, oh my gosh, I'm not doing very well on this simulation, because again, you're not going to get graded on your results per se. You'll get rewarded if you do well, and essentially what I do is I look at three sorts of markers in the simulation. I look at what's your market capitalization at the end compared to the other teams in your industry. What is your stock price as compared to the other teams in your industry at the end of the simulation, and what are your cumulative profits? And basically, I will be awarding you extra credit points if you if you increase your market cap above 100 million, if your stock price is higher at the end than when you started, you'll receive some extra credit points, and again, if your cumulative profits are high as opposed to showing a loss, you will get some extra credit points there. So again, I don't want you to get too caught up in, I'm not doing that well. It's a learning process, and again, sometimes we can learn through our adversity as much as we can learn through our successes as well. So that's kind of the layout of the simulation, and we'll be spending again some more time on that. And I think once you sign up for the simulation, once you get around there and start playing in it, you won't have maybe as many questions as you do right now. Let me just sort of we'll do that a little bit later, and I will actually got a video that I'll put up for you about the simulation in general that we'll talk about. So anyway, so let's go back to the class here. There we go. So again, anyway, each week, go to the module. You will find the assignments and again, you'll click on those, and that's where you will submit your responses. I'm pretty laid back when it comes to late stuff. I mean, usually what I do is get your work in on time. I usually allow folks a 4-day late grace period. So every day an assignment's late, I'll whack 10% off, and after 4 days, if it becomes problematic, you may not get any points on that assignment at all. But I'm usually pretty easy on that. Again, I know sometimes life happens and things get in late, and again, if that's only occasionally, that won't be a problem. But if it's ongoing, then there may be an issue about enforcing that late work policy. Go back here again. There we go. One thing I would ask you to do periodically is check the announcements page. As you can see, I don't have an announcement posted right now. By the time that you probably get access to the class, there will be an announcement. But if you remember in Blackboard, when you would get onto Blackboard and sign into a class, you would immediately be hit in the face with the announcements page. Moodle doesn't do that, so you'll need to check the announcements. And I will usually update these every week. So make sure to check that, because there might be extra credit opportunities and things of that nature. One thing that I'm going to try this semester, and we'll see how it works online, is doing some video assessments. So each week after you complete a round, periodically, I don't know that I'm going to do this every round for everybody, and we're going to see how it goes. But historically, I have sort of given you a written sort of critique of how that last round went. I'm going to try some video critiques, and we'll see how that works. But again, that may not be for everybody for every round for every week, but we'll see how that goes. So again, what I'd ask you to do is kind of poke around the class. Get on to CapSim, get signed up for that as quickly as possible, or get your materials ordered through the bookstore as quickly as possible, and then we will jump in with both feet and let you guys run a company. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns during any of this, give me a holler and or email me, and we'll work our way through it. So looking forward to the class, looking forward to meeting y'all and working with y'all, and we will talk with you again very soon. So have a good week, and we'll talk to you down the road.